Good morning, Intro. Today we're going to talk about basic colored pencil techniques. The goal today is to form an understanding of how to hold, how to use, and how to control your colored pencils. We'll start with our primary hues, move to secondary. We'll work with things like gradation, tints, shades. We'll talk about drawing and creating forms. Then we'll move on to value techniques, ways to go from light to dark, like hatching, cross-hatching, scumbling, and layering. At the very end, we'll talk about color schemes briefly and continue to build this understanding the rest of the school year. All right, let's get started with our primary hues. A primary color is a color that can't be made with any other colors. So we tend to call these primary hues red, blue, and yellow. The really important part about primary hues is that they can be used to make all other colors. So if we have red and blue, we can make violet. If we have blue and yellow, we can make green. And last but not least, if we have our red and yellow, we can make our orange. We can also mix our neutral colors like brown and black. Okay, primary colors are super important. And so we're starting with red today. All right. I'm just applying red from dark to light. And I thought since these are circles, it would be fun or challenging if you need it to try and make these circles look like spheres. Okay. So I'm using the side of my lead. I'm laying the pencil down on the page. And I'm working in layers to go from dark to very light. Okay. Our next primary color that we're going to work with is blue. Just a nice medium blue. And this time, I'm just going to go from dark to light across the circle. So I'm using the side of my lead. I'm overlapping my pencil strokes. I'm filling most of my circle, and I'm creating a really gentle transition from dark blue to light blue. All right. And you can spend some time getting these edges nice and clean. The last color we're going to work with is yellow. It's our final primary color. I'm going to start lighter with my yellow and get darker. I love that there are fun facts about primary colors that you can discover as you learn more about art. Did you know that red used to be made from crushed beetles? Blue was made from the stone lapis lazuli, and it would be ground into pigment. And yellow could be made from crystallized cow urine. Fun facts. All right, so we have our three primary colors, and then we're going to use these three colors for the rest of our techniques today. So our secondary hues are colors, like I mentioned earlier, that can be made by mixing two primary colors. So whenever we need to sharpen our primary colored pencils, red, blue, and yellow, we're going to use a handheld sharpener. This just helps us preserve our pencils and makes them last a little longer. Okay, I'm going to go with yellow first, because it's lighter and easier to mess up, easier to color over. And then I'll mix in some red, and we'll be making orange. It might take a little bit of mixing, a little bit of circular motion to create a good orange. That red is pretty intense. There we go. So if I add a little more pressure with my yellow, I start to get some good oranges. our next one, let's go ahead and continue with our yellow. I'm gonna color a little heavier, but not so heavy that I get a wax bloom. Did you know that colored pencil pigments are not just the color, but they also have wax in them? You, of course, are gonna fill your whole circle, right? And I'm gonna layer my blue to get a nice green. Yeah. And I can go back and forth between the colored pencils, mixing. Great, awesome green, good secondary color. Okay, last but not least is violet or purple. Purple can be a little tougher, so bear with me. Let's put a nice light layer of blue down. And then let's see what we get with our red. That's more red violet. I bet we need some more blue. That's better. Some dark purple there. Perfect. Again, mix and play around in the whole circle and get your best purple that you can, your best green that you can, and your best orange. Okay. The next technique we're going to do is pretty simple. It helps you build your control of the colored pencil. We are going to create a gradation or a change in color or value from light to dark. I like to work vertically or diagonally. And we're going to slowly apply more and more pressure, or more and more layers, or maybe a little bit of both, to move from as light as we can go with any of our colors to as dark or intense as we can go. All right. Feel free to pause at any time to continue your exploration of these techniques. I'm going to move pretty quick so that you get the information you need and have a visual reference for the technique that we're doing. All right, there's your gradation. The next thing we're going to do is look at tints and shade. Do you know what a tint is? Any color plus white. So let's go ahead and do red. Again, let's do that gradation from dark to light. And let's do the opposite with the color we're mixing with our tint. So I know that paper's white, but look at how it blends so beautifully to make a tint of red. Okay. All right, let's do the opposite. Let's do a shade, and I'll use the same color just so you can see the difference here. So we're gonna do a shade, which is any color, right? Do that dark to light, just to practice controlling the pressure of our pencil. Then we'll do black. And we should get some nice, dark, shadowy kind of colors, right? There we go. And again, you can move back and forth between the colors, mixing and layering, so you can really see what kind of control and intensity you can get. Awesome. On the bottom, we have some forms here. I want you to use the techniques like color mixing, gradations, tints, and shades to make these look 3D. So cones are kind of fun. We're gonna go from dark at the edges, not an outline, but dark at the edges, to lighter in the middle where it sticks out, back to darker at the edge. And that should make our cone look like it curves away from us. Okay. This side's a little lighter, so I will create a cast shadow as well that's opposite of our highlight. Beautiful. We're going to continue across here. Maybe we'll do a color. So on our cube, a great trick is just to have a light, a medium, and a dark side. The dark side tends to be opposite of the light source, so I'll do this side first. I love a good intense red, so I just want to jump right into that. When we shade, our outline should disappear, and we should go from forms that are outlined to forms with some value. So we'll just put a little bit of color. There we go. And again, that cast shadow. Oh yeah, look at it, sitting right down on the table. Okay, now let's do a sphere. We will spend lots of time this semester learning to create form. So if this first little trial is difficult, be patient with yourself. All right. Our highlight. And we'll just give it a little shadow on the same side as the others. Set it right down on the table. All right, our cylinder is a lot like our cone. So we're gonna have a lighter area. We can just make our top a nice mid-tone. And we'll go from darker. I like to go vertically here to medium, light, and back to darker. Anytime we wrap a gradation around a form or an object, we're gonna give it some good depth. Okay, and our highlight's kind of to the left here, so we'll put our cast shadow right on the ground. Seems silly to use yellow as a shadow, but it's got great unity. All right, on this little ribbon, I want you to practice moving from one color to another. So we'll do gradation with yellow into blue and pretend like this is curving away from us. So we'll have a darker side. We'll blend into some green. Okay. This is gonna be dark back here, so I think I'll do a shade. Give it a nice shadow. And some intense blue to show that it's behind this front part. We'll do the same thing back here. Let's go give it a little shadow. And then we'll move into our red, huh? So we have a primary colored banner. Mixing and layering. Okay. Excellent. So we've gone over primary, secondary, gradation, tints, shades, and a little bit of forms.